areas of expertise, I think the better the profession will be. So certainly I've spent a lot of my time working with legal teams to try and, demystify process engineering or use of technology and to kind of break some of those silos down. When I work with the teams now, so that's one thing, technical expertise and capabilities. And the second thing would be I'm quite passionate about developing people. Now that's easy to say. I know, I think most people would say it, but I try to spend a lot of time working with teams one-to-one, people one-to-one or in small groups to kind of orient them to the type of service I think we want to provide. And so I'm a great believer in that one-to-one time with kind of the next generation of talent that we want to bring in. And I don't think I've found a better way of molding, helping to shape their careers and ideas than spending time with them.
Anecdotally, could you point to one particular example of something that maybe sort of helped shape your thinking around that? And I'm thinking especially around educating, like where you saw a need or a demand, something that may have happened in your career, an engagement with somebody or a team where you're like, these people really need some basic understanding of how this works or something like that. Anything like that?
Yeah, I think one of the things I took from HPE is we had a general counsel at the time who was very keen on talent. I think I always take the view that the number one job of a leader is to build his or her successor. And contrary to conventional wisdom, which might be that you should avoid building too many competitors, I actually find that the person who has the capability to bring in talent and to nurture it and grow it is the person that winds up being indispensable. In contrast to the reverse, which is, to make yourself indispensable, to me is the number one job of a senior leader. And so I try to follow that as best I can. And I've tried to do that in the teams I've led to effectively kind of give them that shape and an orientation and then really get out of the way. And that is not laziness. It is just because I do think that again, coming back to, I think the number one job of a leader is to bring in talent and put it to work, not stand over it and hover over it and, try and stand on their shoulders, when it should be the other way around.
Okay. Let's talk about you in general. And I'm talking about school, family, personal relationships, personal challenges, accomplishments, things that sort of defined you. And it's funny, I did this with one of your colleagues and, we sort of went back to like childhood days. Like, yeah, I was influenced by, my parents, or I was influenced by the way I interacted with kids in the neighborhood, that sort of thing. And again, not too touchy-feely or however comfortable you are with it, but, tell me a little about like where you grew up, where you went to school, sort of things that shaped your family life and so forth.
Ooh, interesting. Okay. All right. I have to be careful here. Well, I grew up in the UK. I was from a sort of middle class family and, I was an overachiever, and turned down an opportunity to go to Oxford in favor of a different university because I didn't feel like I fitted with that, at that point of my life, at least with some of the folk I'd met when I'd gone on open day trips to Oxford. I'm quite, and I raise that because I'm pretty nonconformist. I don't like being told what I can't do. I don't like being told that that's not the way we do it. I don't have any desire to fit in with a particular set. And I come from a very kind of humble educational background, a state school, and chose to go to a good, but not by any means Ivy League standard university, just a very good university because, I was at that point very interested in psychology. So I did that, converted to law, went to a top tier firm, spent a lot of time there. And that firm was, again, quite non-conformist, the big firms in the UK very much recruit from a mold of, did you go to the right school? Do you have the right educational background? I got straight A's, then a first class degree, but didn't want to go to one of the traditional firms. I went to a modern, forward-thinking firm.
Why?
Why? Because I thought I liked the way that they didn't recruit from a cookie cutter mold of Oxford, Cambridge, Durham, Ivy League schools. I liked the fact that there was a diversity of candidates that I felt more comfortable with. I liked the more relaxed atmosphere of that particular firm. I mean, it's still a top 10 firm, but it's not, it just doesn't have that sort of stuffiness about it. So I'm I'm a little bit non-conformist in that sense. Hardly a activist in any particular way, but I just don't like the norm of things. I want to find, particularly when it comes to serving clients, right? I want to find new ways of doing it. And, so I just have an intuitive kind of frisson when someone tells me that that's not the way we do it. And I want to find new ways of pushing the envelope to create value. So, that's one thing I've taken throughout my approach to, whatever it is I'm doing.
Okay. Family life, married, kids?
Engaged, toddler, dog, lots of surfing, fresh air,
Sure.
Outdoors. I lived in Australia for 20 years, and so very much enjoy the outdoors, fresh air, fitness, that sort of stuff.
Okay. Play any sports as a kid or growing up?
Yeah, I did soccer, hockey, field hockey, that is. I'm trying to get used to the American expression. So soccer, yeah.
Soccer, yeah.
I was pretty sporty. Play lots of sports throughout my life, but mostly ended up preferring the kind of more solitary sports rather than the team sports. And again, I love the surfing. I played a lot of tennis. And surfing now is the thing I still do, and CrossFit.
That's great. I've never been on a surfboard.
No, well.
Tell me a little bit about what you read, what you watch, how you stay informed on industry trends, current events. I mean, social media is obviously a catalyst to news and headlines, but is there anything in particular that, you turn to regularly for news, information, industry news?
I read some of the better content that comes out I read the Above the Law blog. I read Rob Ambrogi's blog. And a couple of the other better ones, and most of the rest of it. Oh, and The Artificial Lawyer by Richard Tromans, who's pretty good. I try to be quite discerning about the amount of that content I ingest. But I read sort of, there's a small number that I make a point of reading.
Do you tend to lean towards U.S. media, UK media, European media, anything in particular?
No. Look, I read CNN. I read the Sydney Morning Herald. I read Politico online. And then, of course, there's the industry stuff that I just mentioned. Sure.
Okay. Well, we talked a little bit about that already, your hobbies and so forth. So that's good. Let me go back to Deloitte. What originally drew you to Deloitte, and what were your perceptions of the company before you first started?
What drew me to Deloitte was the platform that it gives. So if I want to make a dent in the universe of legal service delivery, which I do, Deloitte has a platform from which to do that and to build a practice around, which far exceeds the kind of platform you can get from the alternative legal services sector, which is the one I was in. So there's that, right? It's simply a question of scale, brand, client base, opportunity. Everything I do requires scale. It requires